For how many of you it's like this is the first time of any kind of, such teachings? Okay, wonderful. So my idea of having a brief introduction is worth it. Okay. So I tried sending an announcement today, but there was a problem with the portal, the email system, so it just went out about half an hour ago. So what I'm going to say, it's probably in your email also. Is there anyone who has never taken teachings from Venerable Geshe Dandullah? Like for the teacher, Vivek is here, Aditya, what's your name? Sora. Okay, I'll try and get familiar. Jigmet Law, okay. What's your name? Nangyala, okay. What's your name? Mandira, okay. So, in the Tibetan system, whoever is a monastic who've taken vows, we usually prefix their name with Venerable. Geshe is equivalent to a PhD degree. We will learn during this course there are various Tibetan schools, and our Geshe-la belongs to Gelug, although this whole thing is about Nalanda, but they spend about 20-25 years finishing their PhD degree. So it's a tremendous amount of studying they do, and it's very different than the modern education that we receive. A lot of you already know. So, for example, if they have to go to a class, all the students first will memorize the text before even knowing what it means. So when they sit in the class, the whole text is in their memory, very alive, very, very alive. So those are the kind of trainings they go through. So there is no equivalent word for Geshe in English. Literally, I've sent in an email, there's a link on FBMT what Geshe means. Ge actually means virtue or ethics. She means the one who knows. So literal translation would be the one who knows virtue, and virtue is what leads to happiness. So there's a profound meaning to it. If you have time, go through it. And in the Tibetan system, we also prefix La. A lot of you are from Delhi, speak Hindi, like we say Ji. But in Hindi, the connotation of Ji is for elders. You would not call a younger one a Ji. But in the Tibetan system, even newborns, I've heard people say Tenzin La, just born a few hours ago. So they tend to give the whole language, the whole culture is to give respect. Okay? So we usually address the teacher Geshe-la. A lot of people who have received teachings will address Geshe-la. So just a little background on that. Then a lot of you have asked us about the course material via email, face-to-face, personal talks. For this course, the primary material would be Geshe-la's teaching, the verbal teachings that we receive. We do have a transcription team on volunteer basis, but they are very busy with the master's course right now. And that is led by Rima, sitting here. And so we will see how we go along. If we get volunteers, if we get more people, then we can try and transcribe all these teachings. And that becomes a study material. We do have, so we've divided the material into three. One is the verbal one. One is the supplementary teachings, where we put one book, Kindness, Clarity and Insight by His Holiness. It's available with us, few copies. If you want to buy it, we give a 10% discount. And then we also compiled a lot of talks by His Holiness during various teachings. There are websites available with transcriptions. So we just took that, there was no copyright on it, and we compiled it to a PDF. The link is on the portal. Okay, I'll talk about the portal also. And so that's the supplementary material, those are two. Then there's an optional material. If somebody has more time, then only they can look at the supplementary material, which is completely optional. Okay. We will be having the audio video recording, like for today's class. We will have the audio video. We will try our best to do it by tomorrow. But our commitment is 2 working days. We are a small team, so we try our best. So be patient with us for the first few months. We will announce every time we do the audio video recording through the portal. And that's where the importance of portal, completing your registration, getting your portal ID is extremely important. And then some of you may have felt or maybe have not seen the portal about the schedule. Our general guideline is we'll have teachings every Wednesday at 6, Saturday, every second Saturday 4 to 8, and odd Sundays, first, third, and fifth Sunday. There could be some changes based on Kishna's availability. Some odd Sundays, if he's not available, we put an odd Saturday into the teaching schedule. So you can look at portal, we've updated the portal for both the semesters. At least till end of this year, we've put it till December. As we go along, I'm sure a lot of you would have questions. So it's best to wait for the question answer session. The teacher usually would announce that I will take questions. If there's very pressing question that you're not understanding what he says, then you can raise your hand and we will come and pass the mic to you. Because if you have to transcribe the teachings, the questions of participants are equally valuable. And if people sitting here, if you speak without mic, they can listen to you, but in the recording, this is the mic. So the mic doesn't catch what you say. Specifically, if you're sitting back there, where Tupanda is saying. So just wait for the mic. We will run around and give you the mic. We have 3-4 mics, so we'll try our best to not keep you waiting. And then also the importance of portal. So if you access portal, there are forums, which is an excellent way. There would be a lot of questions, not that all questions get answered. So we will try our best. There are some students, I won't call them senior students, but we've been with Keshla for a few years. So we will try our best that we give answers. And still, if it remains unanswered, then me as a coordinator and then there's Tenzin Kunzamla as a coordinator, we will compile those questions. We can have a separate session, or we can put it on the forum that Keshla answered this question so and so way. So at least you get some authentic, proper answers. Okay, and then lastly, the portal. We have created the portal ID for people who have filled their registration form either online or offline, have made their payments and given us the photo. So if you've done that, then only we can help you with the portal login. So a lot of you have filled the form. I don't know if you are here. Is there anybody who has filled the form online and not given us the photo and the payment? Okay, 1, 2, I think Jigwendla, you just filled today, right? So that's fine. So we really request you that you complete your registration process. So it helps us, and then because portal becomes a central place. We are also doing the master's course. It's almost like 16 months. We are in the 17th month. So we happen to know a lot of people there, so it becomes easy. For me, a lot of you are new, so if there is a sudden change in schedule, last minute changes, we'll put it on the portal, So if you have access, it's beneficial for you. Audio, video recordings, discussion forums, schedule, all these things will happen through portal. Yeah? Okay? Any questions in terms of administration, logistics? I'll be happy to take questions and then we can call Geshna. So either you guys understood everything or you did not understand anything. So, okay? Alright, that's good. Okay? So just feel free. This is although, when Geshna is teaching, we'll request not to interrupt them, but people who have taken teaching from Geshna, it's a very interactive session. Just feel free, and then some of you, I know, Parulji here, she told me that some of you may feel overwhelmed with the portal thing. Just feel free to email me or Samla master's course at Pithith House or info at Pithith House, and we'll be happy to help you. It just takes time, but it's not so complicated. Couple of times you log in and you'll be fine. Okay? Alright, and then Kutseva. So I will introduce Nivala, come. Dolmala. Tenzin Dolmala, Kutseva, please come. We'll just have at least people should know you. You guys are here. Yeah, please come forward. So it's a small team. So he is Tenzin Nimala, like we put La, like I said, he's the multimedia coordinator, so he's mainly responsible for audio, video. He also helps me with the portal, poster designs and things like that. He's the one. He also maintains the website. She is fairly new, Tenzin Burmala. She is the program coordinator. She will eventually be helping us more and more. She's just joined recently. She is Tenzin Kunsanga. Most of you are interacting with her on info. She's the one who's responding, and it's a lot of work for her, but I think she's doing a fantastic job. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. So I think if there are no questions, we'll just quickly call Keshava and we'll get started. Okay. Welcome again.
Thank you.
Yeah. She's insisting she wants the ID card.
Yes.
So
Okay, first we will take a seat, then I'll do a little bit of orientation, and then we will come to light lamps. Yeah, okay, first let us welcome you all to the Nalanda Diploma Course International. It's a great joy to see many of the long-term friends' faces and also new faces. As we go to explain further, as we go along the classes, we'll surely come to know each other more closely, and you might have your personal questions and so forth. The Tibet House will be very happy to accept the invited questions. Before this, I'd like to explain a little bit about what we usually do during the classes. One is that when we come together immediately before we start a class, we come to light lamps. So again, we need to know why should we light lamps? What is that ritual? One. Then number two, while lighting the lamps, we also offer some verses. We say some verses. Why should we say these verses? Then after this, then we sit down, and then from this book, the compilation of this very important book, we read the opening passages there, the stanzas there. Again, why are we doing all these things? So, in short, whatever we do here, try your best to know why we are doing those things, why we are reading such things, why we are lighting the lamps. All these things, you must feel free to know these things. These are extremely important. And while we learn these things here, say say in your own homes, your family rituals, family Hindu rituals, Muslim rituals, Jain rituals, or Buddhist rituals, or say the Christian rituals, or the Jewish rituals, and say many of what we are doing here may give answers to those rituals, right? In fact, the rituals, they say how they initially came out to be. In most cases, there are reasons. Say the first thing that I'd like to explain to you is, say when we come here, we make prostrations. And making prostrations meaning, what do you mean by prostrations? And why do we have to prostrate to the enlightened beings? Prostrations, it is a connotation of showing respect. And showing respect is actually a mental phenomenon. It's a thought process. But we the ordinary people say, I really appreciate you. I really appreciate your kindness, right? I verbally say this one way. Another way would be, I verbally say this, and as, okay, this is my thank you gift for you. Which is more effective? With a gift is more effective. For the ordinary people. Verbally, anybody can say this. But to really let go of something, sacrifice something from your side, which is a little difficult. So when the person sacrifices something from your side in terms of business and so forth, then that tells you that what I say, I really mean it. You're getting it? So physical expression, verbal expression, they're extremely important, particularly for us to let our thought processes become so vibrant. So prostration is an expression of respect to the enlightened beings. When you say respect, to whom? Why? So here, this expression of the thought process, you express this with the physical gesture. So in the Indian culture, this is beautiful gesture. And in the Western culture, for example, in the royal families, so there the people have to kneel down and kiss their hands and so forth. These are all gestures of respect, right? So this is the physical expression. And the verbally you say nice things, and physically you actually show this, indicating that you really have the respect of the person. Then the next question is, to whom? Still next is, why? Okay, to whom is saying we should respect, first of all, pertaining to your admiration. What do you admire? For example, if you admire physics, you'll respect Albert Einstein so much. If you admire charity, compassion, you'll respect Mother Teresa so much. Now, if you respect the wisdom, if you really appreciate the wisdom, wow, intelligence is amazing. For example, the younger ones, they may be so keen to become IAS officers, right? IAS officers, they're considered to be very brilliant, and they are. I'm so fascinated because I met with some IAS officers for some official meetings. So there I could see the brilliance of these people. So many of the youngsters, right? So they aspire to become the IAS officer. The moment you see, oh, he is IAS officer or she's IAS officer, your mind may be jumping, right? Wanting to meet the person or want to talk to the person. So the point is, what do you admire? What do you appreciate? Whatever field that you appreciate, and whosoever is expert in this, whosoever excels in this, you have a deep respect to this person. So, say, finally, what we try to do is that I want happiness. I don't want suffering. This is how we began our life. Day one we were born. Day one we were born, right? We were crying. We were crying for the mother's milk, which means that I want the mother's milk. I'm not getting it. So this is how we started life, which means that I want happiness. I don't want suffering. This is how we began our life. We should not forget this. Now the point is, if you really want happiness, if you really shun miseries, who are those people who are able to accomplish this deed, this act, or the purpose of acquiring happiness, maximum happiness, and eliminating all the miseries? So those beings, enlightened beings, for example, as I said earlier, one person who I really appreciate so profoundly was the first time I heard a story. The story where there were a group of people, group of men who were about to stone a girl to death. And suddenly a gentleman appeared. And the gentleman stopped all the men and told them, the first person to throw stone at this girl should be the one who did not commit any evil in this life. And all the men dropped their stones. The moment I heard this story, I could not control my goosebumps on my body. It's amazing. I really appreciated who this gentleman is, who this gentleman must be. I was so fascinated, amazing. I was awestruck with the wonder of this quality of the courage and the genuine love and affection for somebody who is destitute, who's on the verge to die. And that too, in those days, where such a discrimination was happening going between the males and the females, against the females. So this girl was protected, and despite the girl's engagement with the adultery, and the girl was protected, saved by this gentleman. And who is this gentleman? Jesus Christ. The moment I heard this, I did not hear this when I was not a monk. I heard it when I became a monk. I was so fascinated, awestruck by the wonder of this quality. Amazing. If I were in this position, will I really have this courage to really tell all these angry men to stop doing this and protecting this girl? Amazing, wow. We are so lucky that you existed on this earth. Who was that? Jesus Christ. So the point is that, what we seek is happiness, what we shun is miseries. And who are those beings who are competent, who succeeded in this enterprise of gaining maximum happiness and shunning all the miseries? We realize that there are all these great saints like Jesus Christ, then the Ram, Krishna, and then Prophet Muhammad, Mahavir, amazing Mahavir, Buddha Shakyamuni, Abraham, Guru Nanak, all these enlightened beings. So they really succeeded in their journey of, not only accomplishing the happiness for themselves and shunning miseries, and they're also able to shed light, show the light to all the beings. So this is the inspiration that we are seeking. So these beings become the objects of our respect, our prostration. So the point is that these enlightened beings who embody incredible compassion, who embody incredible wisdom, it is on the basis of these two qualities somebody displays that they become the final source of inspiration for us and objects of our respect. This is known as prostration. Now why? Why do we prostrate? Why do we prostrate? This is so important. Say, how we learn. For example, if you're born, and for example, say some of you speak so beautiful English, right? And most of you speak amazing Hindi. And in my case, I always failed in Hindi in my school time, despite all my efforts, right? And today I speak Hindi, people laugh at me. Because I was not born in this environment. So which means that to acquire such a natural quality, speech, physical, verbal, mental, you must have a very good source of, say, the knowledge, the environment. It must be there. A very authentic environment must be there for us. So therefore, the greatest learning happens through the most wonderful, most authentic environment. So when your mind feels close to this environment of compassion, environment of wisdom, right? Wisdom, and when you prostrate, what you're doing is that first of all, you're choosing a very good environment. Number two, even though there's a wonderful environment there, say the best of the physics is there, but if your mind is not open, right? You're not interested in physics, you will not learn anything of the physics. Right? For example, even if you are the son, daughter of Albert Einstein, if you have no interest in physics, you will not learn physics at all from him. So for that, what we need? We need the receptivity. The receptivity. What is receptivity? Receptivity is the one which opens the gate of the learning. Your enthusiasm, your receptivity. So environment-wise is the best example of compassion, the best example of wisdom. And then how you receive them, you should have the best of the receptivity. So this receptivity is indicated by the prostrations that you're making, surrendering yourself. I won't use the word surrender. I would say prostrate. Prostrate means showing respect. Showing respect. I really admire your qualities. So this is the receptivity. You are so eager to learn this compassion and this wisdom. From whom? From the very genuine source. From the very genuine source of compassion and wisdom. Okay, so this is the meaning of prostrations. So when we make prostrations, when we begin the program, making prostrations, it is keeping in mind that we visualize all the enlightened beings in front of us as the perfect environment, perfect source of inspiration for compassion and for wisdom. And then why compassion and wisdom? This we will learn over the next 1 year as to why these two are the essence of your happiness. Right? Anybody who is rich in these two, guaranteed the person is happiest. So what you want is, you want happiness. Why do you study physics? Because finally, I think that I get maximum happiness from this. Why do you study the economics? Because I think that. Why do you play football? Because that this gives me happiness. Why do you play Mozart? Because it gives me happiness. Right? Okay. So in short, we all seek happiness. We all shun miseries. And if you really want to do that, finally we'll come to learn. We'll come to learn that this all happen with these two things intact within us. What are they? Wisdom and compassion, right? Okay. It's not just a usual compassion that we are talking about. It's a very extraordinary compassion, which we're going to learn. And not just the ordinary wisdom, it's the extraordinary wisdom, which we will learn later, right? This is so important. Okay. Now the point is that unless we have these two things, we will never be happy. And believe it or not, if all these enlightened beings who I mentioned now, say chronologically speaking, Abraham, then say the Mahavir, the Buddha, say the whether it's mystical or the historical, it doesn't matter, say Abraham, Ram, Krishna, and then the Buddha, Mahavir, and then Jesus Christ, Prophet Muhammad, Guru Nanak, and then the Baha'u'llah. So just imagine all these enlightenments, if they are together with us today, right? If we tell them, is it true that somebody having the maximum compassion and the maximum wisdom will be the happiest person? They would unanimously say that yes, we all agree, right? So therefore, these two qualities transcend all, not really transcend, I would say, they transcend ordinariness, ordinary thinking, and imbibes the essence of all the religious traditions. Okay, so that is about prostration. Now, number two is the lighting the lamps. Lighting the lamps. So, in fact, most of the traditions, even the modern studies, modern education, say health-wise, what you won't believe. Okay, health-wise, let's say that 500 years ago, health-wise, the situation of the health then and today is much better because of the modern education. So the modern education really saved modern medical education really saved the humanity from untimely death. Of course, there are other things happening also because of like 500 years ago, AIDS, HIV, they were all non-existent. They were all newly coming up. But the point is that overall speaking, because of the education in health, humanity is saved from unnecessary untimely death. So education is so important. Education dispels the darkness. Likewise, education of the heart, education of the brain. We require both. Now the point is that without the education, we don't know how to manage all these things, right? And for example, say, even for the business purposes, in the olden times, how do people do the business? And today, if you can use your brain, right? It's just education. Use your brain, and with no tangible, solid money, you can become billionaires. For example, what is that? Facebook. The gentleman, what is his name? Mark Zuckerberg, right? He did not really have to have a big infrastructure like this. He became a billionaire. Just with using his brain, he became a billionaire. So the education, this is so important. Now the point is that when you don't have this knowledge, you suffer. When you have the knowledge, then you are free from that suffering. In other words, when you don't have the education, you don't see the reality. We don't see the reality. This is like being in darkness, in dark. In dark, you don't know what is around you. So therefore, you don't know whether or not there's a snake sitting next to you, right? You don't know whether you are actually going through the door or you're banging against the wall. You don't know this. Because why? Why you are full of, say, the apprehension, fear, anxiety, and so forth, because you are in dark. So just as the darkness is responsible for this apprehension, the fear, and so forth, ignorance is responsible for all our, say, the setbacks, miseries, tensions, and so forth. Now the point is how to get rid of this ignorance. It's very simple. Oftentimes we really look for, while the solution is just next to you, we look for the solution the other side. Just see how the darkness can be eliminated. Darkness can be eliminated only through lighting lighting the lamp. For example, say if there's a power cut now, and then we want to read this book. There's no light. And then if you say prayers, Buddha, please remove the darkness. If the Buddha is sitting next to you, he'll be very unhappy. What a hopeless follower. Whereas if you light a candle, he'll be so happy. Well, very sensible, very smart follower. Right? Very smart person. Okay, so therefore, we should be very practical. In order to eliminate the darkness, it is only through lighting the lamp. It is likewise, to eliminate the darkness of the ignorance, it is only through lighting the lamp of the wisdom. So the wisdom plays a very important role. Now, for us, we always need reminders. For example, this is also a reminder note, right? What I'm going to speak to you, I've all noted them down here. I need the reminders. Likewise, the lights that we have, that we offer, these lights. So these lights are reminders for us. I am lighting the lamp of the wisdom. I'm lighting the lamp of the wisdom to dispel the darkness of ignorance, so that all the miseries which befall on me and which befall on others due to the darkness of ignorance can all be eradicated. Right? So this is the reminder. So just as I need this reminder, right? We all need reminders of the virtues. Okay. By the way, for the bad things, we don't really need reminders. Yeah, we're so rich. We're so expert. Right? We really don't need any reminders. But for the good things, we need reminders like this. Right? And lighting a lamp. This is an incredibly great reminder for us. Right? I'm lighting a lamp to dispel the darkness of ignorance. One. Number two, that how to imbibe the two things together, the wisdom and the compassion together. And later on, you'll come to realize that wisdom and compassion, these two are the greatest gifts that you can think of, that all the enlightened beings can think of as a gift, as a legacy, as a panacea for you. You'll realize this eventually, right? Okay, so say when we offer the lights here, right? So I'm lighting the lamp of the wisdom to dispel the darkness of ignorance. And meanwhile, how to integrate this with compassion is I'm doing this not only for myself, but for my mother, for my father, for my children, for my family members, for everyone in Delhi, for everyone in the world, everyone in the Milky Way galaxy, everyone in the entire universe. I'm doing this for everyone, right? So there, what are you doing? You are lighting a lamp. For whom? For all sentient beings, for everyone. So who can think of such the expansive, the scope, such the number of the infinite beings? Only somebody who's compassionate. So your compassion is activated, and your desire to light the lamp of the wisdom is also activated. So the wisdom and compassion, both the seeds of both are activated within yourself in this single act of lighting a lamp. So likewise, when you see your mother, although she may not be knowing the meaning, the significance of doing this, and every day lighting a lamp at home in front of Ganesh, Ram, or Prophet Muhammad, or whatever, or Mahavir, Buddha, whatever, even though they do not know the meaning, right? So instead of we being contemptuous of them, right? We being scornful of them, be compassionate. If possible, teach, share what you know of the significance of lighting lamps. Okay, then the next one is, okay, a lighting lamp. And then say, recite the making frustrations. Okay, we can do it once. Why do we have to do it every time? Right? Once is fine. Right? Okay. This again is a very important thing. And sometimes we say some recitations, we do them like 3 times, 4 times. And the Hindus, Jains, Buddhists, and also for the Muslims also, and Christians also, in the Hindi we call it jap. Right? Jap. The mantras, recite mantras. Right? Okay. Why do we have to recite the same mantra often and often? Over and over again. Why? Just do it once and finish. Why do we do repeat it all the time? This question. Okay, so there it is like, again, all these answers are there. We only don't think about these things. Our mind, something to do with positive, we need somebody else to tell us. With the negative, we don't need anybody else to tell us. Right? With the positive things, why do we have to see the mother? Why is it not sufficient to do it once? We will ask this question, right? Answer, we all have answers. Okay, let's say somebody who suffered from tuberculosis. Right? Okay, by the way, raise your hands those who suffered from tuberculosis in their life. Raise your hands. No one. 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's say. So 3 of us we have the experience. Okay. Tuberculosis, medicines. What medicines did you have? Idambudol, isoniazid, rifampicin, right? These medicines you took for how long? For 1 day? 8 months, not 1 day. No, why did you take just this medicine to cure the tuberculosis, right? Why don't you take it just for 1 day and finish, and tomorrow the illness is over? No, because the illness is chronic. It's a very severe illness. Because the illness is severe, we have to take the medicines, not everything 1 day. Everything 1 day before the tuberculosis kill you, the medicines will kill you. So therefore, we should take the medicines in dose. Right? We should take the medicines in dose. What do you mean by dose? Take a small portion today. 1 tablet of idambudol, isoniazid, rifampicin today. Another, say, 3 tablets tomorrow. Another 3 tablets after tomorrow. In doses, you repeat it. You repeat it. Then what happens? Slowly the effect will be felt. Likewise, reciting the mantras, offering the lights, making prostration, so forth. You do it over and over again, right? What happens? It is through this process that the effects will be felt slowly. You're getting it? Transformative effect will be felt slowly. So this is the purpose why we repeat all these things. Okay. So with this in mind, and a reminder that amongst the participants here, the regular participants as well as the online participants, by no means it is a compulsion that people should be Buddhists to attend this class. It is not necessary. Keep this in mind. For example, how many of you have enjoyed momos? Right? You really enjoyed momos. You don't have to become Chinese, or you don't have to become Buddhist. Right? And those of you who enjoyed the pizzas, you don't have to become Italian. Right? Enjoy it and remain good Indian. Right? Likewise, we enjoy all the good qualities, good mental qualities, good, say, the physical food and so forth. You enjoy these things, imbibe those values, and remain a good Hindu, remain a good Muslim, remain a good Jain, remain a good Buddhist, remain a good atheist even. Right? And the Christian, and it's Jew and so forth. Finally, the point is, finally the benchmark is, be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Don't forget it. Be kind to yourself. This is the final benchmark of what you should be doing. Attending here, not for you to become a Buddhist. Be kind to yourself. Number 2, be wisely kind to yourself. Don't forget these two things. Be kind to yourself and be wisely kind to yourself. Don't forget these two things. With these two things intact within you, remain a good daughter, remain a good son, a good Hindu, a good Muslim, good Jain, good Sikh, good Jew, good Christian, good Buddhist, good non-Buddhist, good atheist, good agnostics, right? Okay, this is so important. You may be wondering, what do you mean by be kind to yourself? And why you added the word, be wisely kind to yourself? Why did you add this word wisely in the second case? The first one, be kind to yourself means, what do you want? Make it happen to you, right? How do you feel that your mother's kind to you? Is I don't want suffering, and my mother comes to remove my suffering. I want happiness, and my mother comes to give me happiness, right? So, be kind to yourself means give happiness and remove suffering from you. One. Number two, be wisely kind to yourself means do those things which actually give rise to happiness. Right? Do those things which actually give rise to happiness. Do those things which actually take you away from suffering. Right? Otherwise, on the contrary, right? You are diabetic. By the way, is there any medical from the medical side, nurses, doctors? Is there anyone? Okay, over there. Okay, say the doctors and nurses may not be too happy with this example. Say somebody is a diabetic. Say I'm a diabetic. And then, right in the morning, the first thing that I do is I have a bunch of medicines. Ayurvedic medicine, allopathic medicine, homeopathic medicine, all these things are stacked there, right? And on the other side is Coca-Cola. I've seen that. I'm not just exaggerating this. I've seen that, right? And what is this medicine? What is this medicine? What is this Ayurvedic medicine for? Diabetes. And this for homeopathy. This allopathic. All this medicine that they are taking. And what is this? This is called I like it. Right? Okay, so this is being unwise. You're trying to be kind to yourself, but you are being not wisely kind to yourself. Do those things which actually give rise to happiness and do away with those things which give rise to misery. So this is the meaning of how to be kind to yourself and how to be wisely kind to yourself. Okay, with this in mind, let us slowly, now we knowing the purpose of these things, just as a gesture of showing respect to all the enlightened beings who embody compassion, unconditional compassion, and wisdom. What wisdom? This we will all learn later, not now. So somebody, all the enlightened beings, irrespective of what religion, all the enlightened beings who embody, who just, in your mind, who embodies unconditional compassion and this wisdom, just keep them in your mind as your role models, as your source of inspiration. Let us offer lights together, right? And as we offer the lights, again a reminder, I'm offering the light of the wisdom, so that the darkness of ignorance, which is responsible for all my miseries and miseries of my family members, misery of all sentient beings, will be got rid of, right? Okay, this is what we're going to do, and we will slowly get up and let us make it quite quick, because otherwise it may take more time. Okay, there is. If you turn to this book, there is a stanza where it said, okay, the red book, The Blaze of Non-Dual Bodhicittas, if you can turn to page 7, Turn to page 7, there is one stanza. We'll say the stanzas together as we offer the lines. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered. Come. With folded hands, Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas
for all bewildered mysteries.
With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for
for all the administrative glories. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of four directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the administrative glories. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of four directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the administrative glories. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of four directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the administrative glories. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of four directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the administrative glories. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all religious beings. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all religious beings. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all religious beings. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all religious beings. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the religious beings. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the religious beings. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the religious beings. Four directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the religious beings. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the religious beings. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the religious beings. Okay, thank you. Please take your seats. Okay. This 1 year diploma course international, Nalanda diploma course international. So this, for of course, as compared to the Nalanda master's course international, it's going to be, say, much easier, which means that you may feel more relaxed. Okay, this is fun, right? Okay, now the point is that when we come to the philosophy, it may be a little technical, but the point is that we are not to give up, particularly when it comes to philosophy. And if you give up, this is the greatest failure. Nobody can fail us. It is only yourself who can fail, right? When you give up, that is the greatest failure. Nobody can drive you further when you give up. So whereas, as long as you don't give up, no matter what, the other people denigrating you, undermining you, being scornful of you, so forth, it doesn't matter. You will forever shine in what you're doing, particularly with the philosophy. And some people may think that, oh, I'm not really for a philosophy, I don't have this thinking, this philosophical thinking mind, and so forth. I would say this is not true. First, just give yourself a try. And then see how it works. Okay. Today, it is about the biography of the Buddha Shakyamuni, who appeared on this earth. And then what he actually taught in a summary form. This is what I'd like to share with you in this class. And of course, it's not going to be complete today. We need another session. And meanwhile, I'd like to also share with you that the
where technicalities are going to be involved and some challenges. You may feel some challenges in terms of understanding the concepts. I would inform you that there are the participants here. For example, like Dibishla is there, then the Pujala is there, Rimala is there, and then we have Tejala there, we have Professor Kavirila there, and we have Rebecca there. Okay, so we see that there are a number of the Anton Tenzi children are there. Yeah, we're hiding there. Okay, not so successful in hiding. Okay, so the point is that I see some faces here who are actually part of the Narendra Master's course. So those of you who, of course, you'll come to know each other who are doing the Narendra Master's course and so forth. So when you have some difficulties, feel free to discuss these points and questions with your seniors, right? And some of them are so eager to join this class also. Okay, so it's a great opportunity for us to seek clarification, and of course you also feel free to raise questions in the class. But of course, the point is that this class, we need some momentum. For that matter, and there should be a little bit of flow where you find some of the technical terms you're a little unaware of, you need a little bit of clarification and so forth. Don't hesitate to ask these, raise your hands, and then which is necessary. I'll be very happy to give the answers right there. Okay. And say, because you know, some of you already know that I travel a lot. So in my absence, we are very fortunate that we have very competent, some of my friends who have been with me for the last many years and who have been studying with me for many years. I would also request them to be your tutors. They will also give some lessons for you. That would be very enriching. For example, Dibishla is there. I would very much request Dibishla to conduct the tutorial for the participants. Would be very helpful. Then we have other participants also, right? Okay, so with this, the Buddha Shakyamuni's biography, in a very standard text, there's a mention of what is known as the 12 deeds of the Buddha Shakyamuni. In Tibetan, Zepa Chungi, 12 deeds. I'll go through the 12 deeds later on, right? First, what I want is to explain this more, not really in a traditional way. I want to do it to cater to the language, cater to the propensities of the modern today's audience. For that matter, I remember His Holiness, his style of teaching is very different from the traditional teachings. So if you were to listen to the traditional teachings, I would say that the next session, the next class, second class, the number will be reduced to half. if the teaching would be done in a traditional way. So His Holiness style is very different. His Holiness style is very different. So he always encourages us that go back to the very rich tradition of the wisdom, not something ritualistic, not something the traditional. Go into the wisdom directly. Wisdom tradition is amazing. Wisdom tradition of India. And my teacher, you wouldn't believe, at the moment, he is 80, one of my teachers, very kind. I'm extremely, extremely indebted to him for all his kindness, for all his wisdom, and so forth. So he did not have any modern studies, any modern education. Today, if I were to look for a world number one logician, world number one philosophers, I would pick him up as that person. The world number one logician, a real logician, right? On the spot, debate, nobody can compete with him. On the spot, everything coming on the spot, so sharp, economic words, and what you say, he will throw questions, give answers, which is good enough for the remaining 10 questions that you are about to ask. This answer is good enough. So such a brilliant teacher. What he would always tell me, in fact, since we started the Nalanda, the Master's Course International, he always, whenever I informed this to him, he just filled with happiness. He would say, it's amazing, it's so good, but he would always give me a warning. Then don't teach them in a traditional way. Right? This is warning that he gives me. Then he would say that don't teach them from A, B, C, D, E, F, because they are already exposed to the modern education. A modern education system, it is already extremely refined, amazing, such the brilliant openness of his thoughts, right? So this is the warning that he always, and the advice that he always gives me with. Okay, so with this in mind, saying the 12 deeds of the Buddha, it becomes more traditional. So if you are really interested, I'll reserve it for the second class. Right? First, let us imagine, right? Just see, what is your life? If you are, okay, how many are below 20? Raise your hands. Below 20? Okay, one over there, one. Below 20, 1, 2, and then Risha, 3, yes, okay. Now let's say below 25, there must be a number of you. Okay, many of you, right? Okay, some of you are below 25, some of you are in the 30s, some of you are in the 40s, 50s, 60s, it doesn't matter. Okay, just whatever number of years you lived thus far, right? The experience, accordingly you have the experience. So that number of experience, years of experience, on that basis, right? Okay, this is the number of years that I lived. And then let's compare this with the life of the Buddha Shakyamuni. This young Prince Siddhartha, at the age of 29, he left his palace, right? So maybe most of us are closer to 29 or a little over 29, and then myself way above 29, right? So the point is, let's try to compare the two. Our life, my life, what I seek happiness. I don't want miseries. But in my life, the last 50 years, I'm 50, say if you're 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, 60, 70, 80, whatever, right? So this number of years, I was seeking happiness. I don't want miseries. This is the main agenda of my life. But was I successful? Right? Oh, I had this problem, that problem, this happiness, that problem, this happiness, that problem, so forth, in my life. Then Prince Siddhartha, the Buddha Shakyamuni, when he was a young Prince Siddhartha, what was his life like? Right? So I'm going to say take all of us to his life, since he was, since he was in the palace till his enlightenment, right? I will take you to this. And then what I would suggest here is, at least in this hall, right? Outside of this is up to you. At least in this hall, try to be as empirical as possible. Empirical meaning, try to be as realistic. try to be as objective as possible, right? Meaning that there are so many realities, objective realities, what is really there, right? For example, say if I'm, okay, by the way, what I mean by objective is what is really there. Don't superimpose your thought processes, on the object. Object has its own reality, right? Don't mix that with what you think. Don't mix the two things up. Try to see the reality as it is. This is so important, at least while you are in Tibet house. The moment you go out, it's up to you. Right? This is so important. One time, why I'm saying this, one time, a friend of mine, early morning, I received a call. And she said that, okay, Gishila, now I've already given up on Buddhism. I've already given up Buddhism. I said, okay, you have given up Buddhism. She said, yes, I've already given up. What happened? I was so curious, what happened? She said that all these many years, how many years? 3 years, maybe 4 years. All these many years, I'm praying to Buddha, I'm praying to Tara. Tara is the female Buddha. I'm praying to Tara, I've been praying to Buddha. I've been praying, my prayer never answered. I said, what prayer did you do? What were you praying for? Then she said, I'm praying for that my brother gets a job, and he never gets a job. I said, okay, now I know why you are giving up on Buddhism. Right? Okay, if your brother doesn't get a job, don't pray to Buddha. Don't pray to Buddha. If you're hungry, don't pray to Buddha. Go to kitchen. Right? It doesn't make any sense. If you're sick, if you're gallstone, go to the hospital. If you're hungry, go to the kitchen. This is the best way. Rather than praying for Buddha, and then your little energy that you have, you're wasting it. Buddha, please remove my hunger. Buddha, please. The moment you say this, energy is consumed. Little energy that you have, you're wasting it. Right? So Buddha is meant for those things which you cannot practically do. You can't do practically, right? Those things, then the Buddha can help you. God can help you, Buddha can help you. Right? Those things which you can do, you don't do it and believe in the Buddha. It's a disaster. So I said that if you want your brother to get a job, don't pray to Buddha. If this is the reason why you become Buddhist, it's wrong, don't become a Buddhist. Your job is to tell your brother, study well, don't go to the pubs. Study well, sit for your competitive exams, prepare for the competitive exams well, go for teaching instead of, go for tuitions, go for coachings instead of going to the pubs. Right? And then prepare for the competitive exams 100%. If he has the capacity to get a job, right? By doing this, he will get a job. By going to the pubs and praying to Buddha, will never give you a job. I told her this. So the point is that let us be very realistic. Let us be very realistic, and let us be also very objective. This is so important. Let us also be very objective. Objective meaning, don't impose your thought processes on the reality. You will never find the reality. If you impose your thought processes on the reality, you will never find the reality. If you don't find the reality, you're always in darkness. You're always in darkness of the ignorance. You will always be in the darkness of ignorance. So therefore, so it was 2004, no, to the end of 2003, I was in England, in Cambridge, for my English, okay, as a fellow there in Girton College, and also for my English, I was there. And I met a physicist. And the physicist, he was a brilliant physicist. And he was least interested in me. Because he thought that I'm a Buddhist monk. What is it? What a religious person has to do with physics? So we came together because of a common friend. Common friend said, I think, celebrating his birthday. So we were together there. Then he said, oh, by the way, from here, amongst the participants here, how many of you are from physics background? Raise hands. Tarajaji? One. Anyone else? No physics background? Samala? Yes. Okay. Geetaji? No? Okay. Physics background? No. Okay, this is, including myself, right? It's terrible. Right? Except for 1, 2. Terrible. Why terrible? Listen to what he said. And who was he? He was a brilliant physicist, right? He said, in the course of our discussion, he said, in this world, only physics is education. So therefore, it is a disaster for all of us. He said, there is only physics which is education. I said, why? He said, because only physics allows you to have a critical thinking. All others are imitation of the earlier teachers. This is what he said, right? That's okay, then it's good. Listen to what the Buddha has to say. Then I said, I quoted the Buddha. The bhikshus, the wise men, and the wise women. And just as the goldsmith tests the purity of the gold by cutting, rubbing, and burning the gold, you should also examine my words and put them into practice, not simply because you respect me. He remained silent for a few seconds. Then he said, oh, the Buddha must have been a great physicist. Right? Okay, so the point is that we should be very objective in our approach, right? Say, whatever I share with you, you may have questions, right? And it doesn't mean don't suppress your questions. It doesn't mean that I have all the answers. Keep this in mind. It doesn't mean that I have all the answers. But your questions are so precious. Your questions are so precious. The moment the questions are suppressed, we are suppressing the objectivity. The moment the objectivity is suppressed, we suppress the reality. The moment we suppress the reality, we suppress the wisdom. The moment we suppress wisdom, we encourage the ignorance. As long as the ignorance prevails, we will never have a lasting happiness. The whole purpose of our life, the whole agenda of our life is to have the lasting happiness. So that is defeated. For that matter, no matter what happens, your questions are so precious, right? And then, say, later on when you switch to Narada Master's course, Narada Master's course International, when you switch to that level, then some of you may be very much exposed to the philosophy, and some may not be so exposed. And those who are very exposed, if you ask very complicated questions right in the beginning, then the others, the beginners, they feel lost. To support them, to support others who are more beginners, we then ask them to keep the questions, note down the questions, keep them, and when we come to the main point of discussion, where the most of the students, they're able to understand something, there all these questions must be brought up. Okay, so with this in mind, what we need is that at least when you're doing the Nalanda Diploma Course International, it is so important for us to maintain the sense of objectivity and say any questions that we might have, never suppress them. Right? This should be our approach. Okay. Meanwhile, keep this in mind that the other participants of the Nalanda Master's course, and we may, if you are very interested, we may look for, say, 2, 3, 4 people, can have one, the senior friends, who can, attempt to give answers to questions. Okay, Okay, but keep in mind that I'm also available there for your questions, clarifications if you need. Okay, so there was, it was 6th century AD. It was 6th century AD that there was one incredible great scholar by the name Acharya Dignaga. Acharya Dignaga, and he's also respected as the father of the Buddhist logic. Acharya Dignaga, 6th century AD. And later on, as a part of the Narayana Masters Course International, we will study the one passage which I'm going to quickly explain to you now. That passage elaborated into a whole chapter of 283 stanzas. Very complex, very dense, and these 283 stanzas further explained into 2 huge volumes. So they all came from one stanza. So this time, not even stanza, 2 lines, right? This is amazing 2 lines. This is what I like to share with you. So these 2 lines, how these 2 lines came into being was that Acharya Dignaga, he was the father of the Buddhist logic. Then he was in his hermitage, and he was intending to write the whole doctrine, the treatise on Buddhist logic. So with this intention, on the slate in those days, more down the slates or the leaves and so forth. So he wrote the word of salutation, which we're going to learn now. One stanza, word of salutation. He wrote it, and then he went for his alms begging. Coming back, he realized that what was written there was erased. And again the next day, he wrote the same thing. Again he left. It happened 3 times. So finally, who was this? Acharya Dignaga. Finally what he did was that instead of writing this word of salutation, he wrote that whosoever erased my work, if you erase this out of fun, my work is not a matter of fun, it's a very important work, please don't erase this. If you erase this because you disagree with what I wrote, show up in person. Don't suddenly, don't confidentially do it. Show up in person. What show up in person means we can debate. Okay, this is what he wrote, and then he left. Coming back, he saw a man waiting there. Right? So 2 of them started to debate. So in those days, like 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, in India, this amazing tradition in India. It's literally people of different ideologies, they actually meet and debate. And a very risky bet. What is the bet? That if I lost a debate, I have to be converted to the tradition of the other person. Right? Right? Okay. So if the bishop lost his debate, all of us will be converted to the other tradition. So this was the bet, very scary bet, right? You along with all the students have to be converted. This was the bet. So with the debate, the father of the Buddhist logic, Acharya Dignaga, who can compete with him? So other person lost the debate. And the other person, while having lost the debate, still he did not accept the defeat. So he started to, with his miracle power, he started to send fire from his mouth against the Acharya Dignaga, and all his robes were burned. And Acharya Dignaga, he felt very sad, right? Sad. Then this slate, Acharya Dignaga threw in the sky. That I was writing this meant to benefit so many people, but if I cannot help even one person, how can I possibly help all the beings? So I cannot possibly think of helping all the beings by writing this composition. So he just threw the slate, and to his amazement, the slate never fell. And he looked up in the sky, and he saw Manjushri. Manjushri, the Buddha of wisdom. Buddha of wisdom was holding the slate in the sky. And then Manjushri told him that, my child, why should you feel demoralized? I'm always there to bless you, to guide you, right? And this work of yours, you just continue doing this, my blessings are always there with you. And this work will become eyes for millions in the future to see the reality. Okay, this stanza which I'm going to explain to you now, this is what he wrote then, and all these episodes happened related to the stanza. So this stanza is on page 4 of the book. Page 4, the second last paragraph, second last verse. The second last verse. Okay, let's see. The one who is transformed into the reliable guide, motivated by altruism to benefit sentient beings, the teacher, Sugata, and protector, to you and my frustrations. Okay, these are the two lines which Acharya Dignaga wrote, and then all these episodes happened. Okay, these two lines is amazing, right? These two lines you wouldn't believe. The 7th century incredibly great logician Acharya Dignaga, Acharya Dharmakirti, he read these two lines, and he was just baffled by these two, petrified by the two lines, and he started to compose whole commentary on the two lines, right? And the commentary came into the whole one chapter with 283 verses. And you read this, two lines with 283 verses, which means that we can read it. You read it, you will not understand anything. It's so condensed. For that, you need to read 2 huge volumes, right? Okay, so this is the whole text we're going to study as a part of Nalanda Master's Course, Nalanda Master's Course International, right? Okay, what we're doing here is just an intro of this to reflect on the biography of the Buddha and compare that with our biography, with your own biography, right? Okay, so what happened was that, do you see this? The second last the stanza of page 4, which reads, the one who is transformed into the reliable. How many of you have not found it? You got it? Okay. The one who is transformed into the reliable guide. Meaning that transformed, this is key word, transformed. Meaning that this Prince Buddha Shakyamuni, in his early teenage, as a very young baby, then teenage, so then a young adult. So like the first 29 years, he remained as a prince. And of course, very special prince, very naturally gifted with compassion, and very intelligent, and the amazing skill in the art of the archery, then the learning, reading, writing, poetry, and so forth. But as an ordinary prince. Still we can say ordinary prince. Okay, then he was transformed. After 6 years, he was transformed into the light of the world. Light of the world meaning not in the metaphorical sense, not in, the exaggerated form, meaning that he taught us the way. He taught us the way. What way? Which we're going to learn here. It says, the one who has transformed into the reliable guide. Right? What we seek is, we seek ultimate happiness. What we seek is, we seek to abandon all miseries. So this path, he became the one to teach this path. He became the reliable guide. A guide who is so reliable. Right? From ordinary prince, he was transformed into a reliable guide, to guide all beings from the state of misery to the state of ultimate happiness. Okay, that's fine. How do you know this? This next question. How do you know that that he becomes such a reliable guide to guide us from the misery to the ultimate happiness. How do you do this? Okay, for that we have to know the four steps, right? One is the motivated by altruism to benefit all sentient beings. One. Number two, teacher. Number three, Sugather. Number four, protector. So by these 4 points, we will come to realize, wow, that's amazing, right? Okay, the first, that motivated by altruism to benefit all sentient beings. Altruism meaning, what is altruism? Pro-social behavior. Wow, you must be from university. Yes, altruism.
Loving all human or all sentient beings without any prejudices.
Okay, loving all beings without
Prejudices.
without the
Prejudice.
prejudice. Very good. Anyone else? Thinking about others. Very good. Okay, so basically the 3 answers given there from this girl over there, gentleman over here. By the way, what is your name? Anjali. What is your name?
Mark.
Mark. What is your name? Mine. Oh, Mayan. Okay, let's say Anjali, Mark, mine. Okay, so the 3 answers, they are just the ideal answers. A sense of responsibility. A feeling of love and affection, which takes the responsibility for others, to remove the pains, take the responsibility for others on your own shoulder. That is altruism. You getting it? That is altruism. A sense of love and affection, which takes the responsibility to others on your own shoulder. That is the meaning of altruism. Okay, so it says that motivated by altruism to benefit sentient beings. So this is when this young prince was still in the palace. When he was still in the palace, which means he was starting from very early age, like from when he was a teenager. His cousin brother shot this one, right? And the bird fell, and it fell next to the Prince Siddharth, right? Prince Siddharth, and he was just removing the arrow, and then nursing the swan, and Devadatta saying, "This is my swan," like this. There's fight going on, and then this young Prince Siddharth, he said that this swan will belong to somebody who helps the swan, not to somebody who destroys the swan. So I'm the one who's helping him, and you're the one who's destroying him, right? Amazing, such a wisdom there, full of love and affection, just to defend this swan, the injured swan. He is courageously coming with the wisdom to convince the world that this swan should be liberated, not be put to suffering in the hands of Devadatta. Okay, so this is where, from there, he displayed, this young Prince Siddharth, he displayed such a feeling of compassion towards others. And for us also, each one of us, in most likelihood, that we must have displayed some degree of compassion to someone at one time, in one occasion, right? And in some people, in some cases, you may have displayed, say, to a more number of people, and in some cases with a more difficult situation and so forth. So no doubt, I'm pretty sure that each one of us displayed this biography of the Buddha Shakyamuni, the biography of compassion. We also did that in a biography. So he did that. Now what happened was that in the palace, he could see so many problems. It was not as, how it was not as how the usual historical biography of the Buddha conveyed. Oh, he saw the 4 sides, right? Sickness, aging, death, then the monastic, then he left the palace. Not as simple as that. The reality of the biography was that he saw in the palace. Who are they in the palace? Right? The royals are there, plus the maids are there, plus the servants are there. You agree with me or not? What is happening? What is the chemistry amongst those people? Right? Amongst the royals, they were young boys. Right? And all these young boys, they are not enlightened. Right? There's so much of jealousy there. There's so much bully there. And he was seeing all these things. And he was gifted with such a tender compassion towards others. He could not bear those things. He could not bear the royal young boys bullying the maids. Right? The dancers. He could not bear those things. And then, in those days, wars was a very frequent phenomenon. Wars between the kingdoms, amongst the kingdoms. With the wars, how many innocent people die? How many innocent people die? Right? How many children are left? They become the orphans. And how many people become widowed because of the war? He was seeing all these things. So, he says, guided, motivated by altruism to benefit all sentient beings. He says that, look, these are the miseries the beings are going through. Then on top of that, sickness, aging, death, the foresight. Right? There he realized that just by being in the palace, just as a very kind prince, does not have to remove all these problems. I must look for an answer to all these problems. So he left the palace at the age of 29. Right? So we have to see the biography from a more realistic, more closely. Then what happens? It says what? What's the next phase? Motivated by altruism to benefit all sentient beings. What is the next? The teacher. Right? The next point, teacher. So one, he realized that finally, all these problems the beings are going through are because of the darkness of the ignorance. How to get into the darkness of the ignorance? It is by introducing the light of the wisdom. And who will give the light of the wisdom? Somebody has to teach the light of the wisdom. So he made a commitment that I should teach this light of the wisdom to all the beings. The next question. Did he have the light of the wisdom himself? He did not have. Because he did not have, he went in search of this light. Right? So number two is the teacher. So he wanted to teach the beings the light of the wisdom, so that the darkness of the ignorance which is responsible for all the miseries can be brought to an end. And the beings will not have to suffer anymore. So for that matter, he was looking for the light. He was looking for somebody to give him the light. He was looking for a teacher. So first he met his first teacher, Alara Kalam, Acharya Alara Kalam, the teacher, who already had a very sophisticated high-level samadhi experience, the meditation experience. He had a very profound meditative experience. So, Prince Siddhartha, he took his help. And he learned the skill of the meditation. He soon acquired that skill as the same level as his teacher. And when he acquired the skill, then he went to the teacher once more and requested for more teachings. And the teacher said, you already acquired the same skill as I have attained. I have no more teaching to be given now. We are at the same level. And he said, okay, Venerable Sir, in fact, I came here to look for the solution to all the problems of the world. And still, I did not get it. So he went in search of another teacher. Finally, he found the second teacher, Acharya Udreka. He found the second teacher, Acharya Udreka. And Udreka, from the mundane point of view, the meditative experience of the mundane world. Okay, for time I'm just going to say mundane world. So later on, as we go into more sophistication of the studies, then what do you mean by mundane world? This you will learn later on with more precision. So this Acharya Udrika, his meditative experience has reached the pinnacle of the mundane meditation, pinnacle. And he received teachings from him, whose meditative experience was far deeper than the first teacher. He received teachings from him. And again, very soon, Prince Siddhartha reached that same level. And again, he asked for more teachings. Then the Acharya Utrega said that, okay, now you've already reached the same level as me. Now there's no point for you to go to look for any other path. You've already found the path. And all my students are your students also. So you stay with me and you guide my students. So again, the Prince Siddhartha said the same thing. I came here to look for a path, a solution to solve all the problems of the world. And still I did not get the solution. Then he left, and then finally he set for 6 years of penance, austerity, meditation. And he found this path, the path known as the wisdom of dependent origination, and emptiness. He found this wisdom, right? He found this wisdom. Finally, he realized that this is the wisdom that I should teach all beings, so that the darkness of ignorance within the minds of beings will be eliminated, and that they will not have to experience miseries anymore. Now, if you have discovered, or if you have invented a medicine, so in the case of this, it is a discovery. If you think that you've discovered a medicine, so this medicine, how do you know that it actually works? How do you know that it actually works? You have to experiment it. You agree with me? You have to experiment it. So he first experimented it on himself. This wisdom of dependent origination and emptiness, he experimented it on himself to see whether it works. He was meditating for 6 years on this. Right? Okay, what is that wisdom? Unconditional love and the wisdom. So unconditional love was the driving force for him to go in search of wisdom. So the wisdom that he found now, don't ask me what exactly is the wisdom. I will not leave Tibet house unless you teach me this wisdom tonight. Right? So this is where people spend years and years. But you will surely get it, provided you are being very consistent with the study, reflection, and meditation. Right? Okay, this is so important. Okay, so the point is, he experimented this on himself. Imagine that you are fast asleep. Imagine that you are fast asleep, and then you start having a dream of a ghost. By the way, how many of you ever had a dream of ghost in your life? Raise your hands. Okay, most of us. How many of you never had no clue of what is a dream of ghost? Raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, unlucky ones. Okay, anyway, you are lucky, you did not have the nightmare. Now you are unlucky, right? The fact that you do not have to go through the nightmare, you are very lucky. Okay, so the point is, imagine that you had the nightmare, you're going through a nightmare because of a ghost dream. Because of a ghost dream, right? And the ghost is chasing you. And then what do? You run. You run for your life, right? And the ghost is also running after you. And then oftentimes we fall. Yes, no? Okay, we fall. We fall, and the ghost will not spare you. Then goes about to grab at you. What is your emotional reaction? No, you will not wake up. Hey, what is your emotional reaction? Now I'm gone, right? You're just your hair standing on end and I'm gone. So much of fear, excruciating fear, right? And goes about to get at you, and your mother wakes you up. Now what is your emotional reaction? Wow, what a relief. Tell me, are you the same person? Is it the same person who went through the nightmare, so much of fear? The same person coming out of the dream and the fear dissolves, such a relief? Is the same person or different person? Same person. Why the same person had to go through this nightmare in the dream, and why you're freed from the nightmare and you have such a relief when you come out of the dream? Why? Anyone, very quick.
Because you thought it's real. Because you thought it's real.
Because in the dream, you thought the dream ghost as a real ghost. And when you wake up, you realize that it was not a real ghost. It was a dream ghost. You getting it? It was a dream ghost. Okay, tell me. Okay, most of you already know what am I doing. Right? Okay, say, what is my right hand? Hey, tell me, what is my right hand? You know what is there, right? Tell me. To save time, tell me very quickly. Flower. What is my left hand? Nothing. Just imagine a blue flower. Okay, now tell me what is my right hand? Pink flower. What is my left hand? There's no blue flower. There's an imaginary blue flower. I asked you to imagine. I did not say there's a blue flower. There's an imaginary blue flower. Now tell me, what's the difference between these two things? This pink flower in my right hand and the imaginary blue flower in my left hand. What's the difference between these two things? Tell me. One is real and one is not real. Okay, very good. One is real and unreal. Other one is unreal. Right? Okay. Now, can you make it a little more complicated? Or would you be eager to follow me to go into a little more complication? That is, say, this flower. This flower is the object, right? And your mind is the subject. You're getting it? This flower is the object, your mind is the subject. Now the left hand, imaginary flower is the object and your mind is the subject. Yes? Okay. So what is the difference between, what is the relationship between the object and the subject? Right? So here, imaginary blue flower and the subject. This imaginary blue flower comes from the object or from the subject? Imaginary blue flower comes from the subject or from the object? Subject. This pink flower comes from the subject or from the object? Very good. This is the distinction. You are getting it? Okay, the pink flower in my right hand, it exists from this object. Imaginary blue flower exists from the subject. So technically, what I call is that this pink flower exists objectively and the imaginary flower exists. Wow, just day one you got it. Amazing, right? Wow. Now you already know what is subject. Subject exists, object exists. It's amazing, just day one. Not even whole day. It's just 1 hour. Wow. Okay, so now the point is, dream, tell me, the dream goes subjectively existent or objectively existent?
Subjective.
Wow, amazing. So in the dream, you saw the dream goes as in the dream. You saw the dream goes as objectively real or subjectively real? In the dream.
Subjectively.
In your dream, you saw the dream goes as objectively real. Because of this, the fear arises. When you wake up, why the fear dissolves? Was because you saw the dream goes as subjectively real. It's empty of objective reality. You're getting it? You saw the dream goes as subjectively real. You saw the dream goes as empty of objective real. Okay, let's say, okay, this flower. By the way, this flower, okay, Tarajaji, this flower is mine. Okay, What did you hear from me? This flower is mine. What did you hear? What did you hear? This flower is mine, right? Do you agree with me? That's when I say that this flower is mine, indirectly or implicitly, I'm saying that this is not yours. You agree with me? Right? When I say this flower is mine, indirectly I'm saying that don't touch it, this is not yours. This is mine. It's a nice way of saying it's not yours. Right? If I say it's not yours, it's very offensive. Whereas if I say, oh, this is mine, right? You're not offended, meanwhile the message is conveyed. Right? Okay, so when I say this is mine, it means that it is not yours. Not is a negation. So when you say the dream ghost exists subjectively, implicitly you are saying that the dream ghost is not objectively real. Wow. Right? Dream ghost is not objectively real. Not empty, same. Not and empty. These are all the words of negation. Right? Words of negation. When you say the dream ghost is subjectively real, you are saying that the dream ghost is not objectively real. You are saying that dream ghost is empty of objective reality. You're getting it? Empty. So we said the wisdom of dependent origination and emptiness. It doesn't mean that nothing exists. Everything's empty. This is not a connotation. That everything exists. They do not exist objectively. If everything exists, if they don't exist objectively, how do they exist? They all exist subjectively. Okay, tell me. Dream ghosts exist or not? Raise your hands those who say dream ghosts do not exist. Dream ghost does not exist. Raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, how many of you say dream ghosts exist? 1, 2, 3. Okay, dream ghosts exist.
Subjective.
Okay, dream ghost exists. Okay, let me say, dream ghost does not exist as a ghost. How many of you agree with me? Dream ghost does not exist as a real ghost. How many of you? How many of you agree with me? Dream ghost does not exist as a real ghost. Okay, how many of you agree with me? Real ghost and ghost, these two are synonymous. Synonymous means they mean the same. Okay, Nilisha ji. Nilisha and real Nilisha, these two are same. You agree with me or not? Right? Flower and real flower, these two mean the same. Yes, of course. You're getting it? So, dream ghost is not a ghost. How many of you agree with me? Dream ghost is not a ghost. Yes. Dream ghost, although it is not a ghost, but it is a dream ghost. How many of you agree with me? Good. Dream ghost, it does not exist as a real ghost, but it exists as a dream ghost. How many of you agree with me? Wonderful. So it does exist. It does not exist as a real ghost, but it exists as a dream ghost. Likewise, everything exists, but everything exists subjectively, not objectively. This is what we're going to learn. You're getting it? Okay. So with this, the point is that the moment you realize, when you come out of the dream, you realize that the dream ghost is subjectively real or objectively real. What will you realize? You realize that it is subjectively real. When you realize that it is subjectively real, implicitly you realize that the dream ghost is empty of objective reality. When you realize that the dream ghost is empty of objective reality, your fear dissolves. You're getting it? Okay, what do you want? You want fear or you want the fear to dissolve? We all want the fear to dissolve. You're getting it? You all want the fear to dissolve. If you want to dissolve your fear, you should see things. You should see things as subjectively, not as objectively. Right? If you see things as objectively, it will only create miseries. If you see things as subjectively, your miseries will dissolve. You're getting it? This is a basic idea. that we're going to learn in this 1 year. Okay, so the Prince Siddhartha, he was experimenting. He was experimenting this wisdom to see the emptiness of objective existence. He wanted to experiment this on himself to see whether by seeing this, whether by having this wisdom, my nightmare, the fear of nightmare dissolves or not. He was experimenting it. Then what happened is that as he experimented, then that this process of experimentation, seeing things as subjectively real, he started to see things as subjectively real. So when do you see things, when do you see the dream as subjectively real? In the dream or outside the dream? Outside the dream. Outside is the dream, what do you call this outside dream? In the dream or waking state? Waking state. So he became fully awakened. He came out of the dream. He came out of the dream and he was fully awakened. It is for this reason that one of the epithets for this Prince Siddhartha, Buddha Shakyamuni, was the fully awakened one. He is known as the fully awakened one. Buddha. Buddha means the fully awakened one. Right? So what's the benefit of fully awakening? That you are not going to be affected by the dreams anymore. Right? You are not going to be affected by the dream anymore. All the nightmare of the dream will stop. This is the purpose. Okay, so he experimented this, and then what happened is that all the nightmares created by the ignorance, they all dissolve. They all dissolve, and what happens? When the disturbance dissolves, what experience you will get? Huh? Peace, right? So, what is the next phase? Altruism, what is next? Sugata. Sugata means the one who has gone to the state of perfect bliss. The bliss of the freedom from all fears. The bliss of freedom from all fears. He experimented this, and he experienced the bliss of freedom from all fears. He experimented this, right? Then he became the Sugata. Sugata meaning the one who has gone to the perfect bliss of freedom from fears, all fears. Okay, he experiences. Once he experiences, what is his job then? Now he becomes so confident. Now he becomes so confident that, okay, now I've found the path. So this path I have to teach to all the sentient beings so that their miseries will come to an end. So he went to what? What's next? Protector. So next, with this confidence that he obtained, he went to protect the beings by removing the darkness of the ignorance, by shedding the light of the wisdom of dependent origination and emptiness, right? He went to protect the beings. He went to protect the beings by dispelling the darkness of the ignorance. He went to protect the beings, protector. He became the protector by protecting the beings, by removing the fears, all fears, by teaching them the emptiness of the wisdom, by giving them the light of the wisdom of emptiness or dependent origination. The wisdom of dependent origination and the wisdom of emptiness. So these two things, eventually we'll come to learn that these two mean the same. But for the time being, you can say the wisdom of dependent origination and emptiness. Right? Okay, this is the protector. So if you see the biography of the Buddha Shakyamuni like this, he was once a young prince. He was just seeing all the horrible things in the palace and wars among the different kingdoms. Then he was disillusioned by the samsaric, the problems. Then he left the palace, went in search of the path. Went in search of the path for him to teach to all the beings. And then he experimented this. He experimented this with himself, and he experienced Sugathahood, right? With this confidence, and he went to teach the light of the wisdom to all the beings, so that the darkness and ignorance of the beings will be eliminated, and that they will be free from the fears of samsara. So this is his biography. With this biography, see for ourselves, just see, okay, if this is how he undertook the journey to benefit all beings, I also have this same capacity, right? Whether or not I have this capacity, maybe he is a special one, or I do not have the capacity, right? Or maybe no, who knows? That I also have the capacity. So whether or not each one of us, we have the capacity, this is the next question, right? Whether or not each one of us, we have the capacity. This is the next one. So there, he said that, that it is not whether you're Buddhist, not Buddhist, whether you follow me, not follow me. This is what he said. Everyone has the seed of perfection. Everyone has the seed of perfection. Whether you're male or female, it doesn't matter. Whether you're educated or uneducated, it doesn't matter. Whether you're from high class, low class, it doesn't matter. Right? Everyone has the same seed of perfection. Right? Everyone has the same seed of perfection. The analogy given is diamond. Diamond, you pick up from a shop, diamond shop, so clean, exquisitely clean. And the other diamond, suddenly you randomly find the diamond in the sewage, very dirty water, right? Someone picked it up, and you do not know that this is diamond. Oh, it's so dirty, throw this away. And the other one, both are one kilogram each. Other one, so clean, wow, this is. So we the ordinary people will distinguish between the two things. One is very clean, this is so expensive, this is so smelly, dirty, throw this away. But in the eyes of the diamond experts, there's no difference. The diamond expert will not sell this dirty diamond even for 1 penny less, you believe it or not. He will just clean this up, it becomes the same diamond. Tell me, which is cleaner? Inside the inner core of the two diamonds, which is cleaner? Same, no difference. Likewise, you, each one of us, whether you're boy, girl, educated, uneducated, from this country, from that country, it doesn't matter, right? Whether you're the high class, low class, it doesn't matter. Within us, within each one of us, we have a diamond. And this diamond, the diamond that you have, and the diamond that others have, and the diamond the Buddha has, the diamond Jesus Christ has, Prophet Muhammad has, no difference. This diamond is the same. How do we know this? Let us not follow blindly. Let us not follow blindly. This is what we have to discover through rational inquiry. Okay, we'll stop here. Okay, let us do a quick dedication prayer. So it says that, let us turn to page 278. Okay, on this, unlike the other studies, while what we are learning, it is very same. It is very. We try to be as logical. From your side also, you should be trying as logical. From my side also, I will be trying, try to be logical. So this is the same, the system, very logical system. And then we can make it very academic, right? Very academic. But this 1 year is not going to be that, say, too much into academic. If you make it too academic, then the whole purpose is going to be defeated, right? And oftentimes you may feel it as so dry, right? So dry, very complicated one, and then with the excuse of it being so dry, I'm not interested, right? Okay, so therefore they see if it has relevance to your own life, right? And I'm so happy there's so many people who joined the Nalanda Masters Course International. I'm so happy to get the feedback from them that it literally changed their lifestyle, their relationship with their parents, their relationship with their husbands, with their wife, with their children, with their co-workers. Just this morning, I got amazing feedback. Somebody who said that 5 years ago, if the same thing happened, I would have stabbed the person. Right? So that time the person was shouting at me, I could maintain the calmness, not out of timidness, not out of timidness, but out of confidence to maintain the calmness. I was not affected. This was the amazing change. She said that I felt because of the study of the Nalanda Masters Course International. Right? I'm so happy to hear that. If this is happening, imagine if the world, number of the people of this little transformation, if the number of the people with this transformation increases, imagine whether or not the world is going to go into the crisis of corruption, of say the terrorism, of bullying, of gender discrimination, right? Of gap in rich and poor and so forth. Will these problems happen? No, no way. So therefore, this amazing inspiration for us. It's so inspiring to hear these stories, right? Finally, who you are, remain a good human being. From this, see if it can help you to become a good human being, very kind person, very sensible person. This is the whole purpose of what we're doing here. So, because there is some, say, the purpose behind, life purpose behind that. So, unlike the studies, what we do is, at the end, we dedicate the virtues, the merits we have accumulated, so that others are also happy. Okay, so let's quickly read this. We'll read just the first page, page 278. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good, all powerful, generous, Tenzin Gyatso. Please remain until samsara ends. Just as a brave Manjushri and Samantabhadra too realize the things as they are, so also I dedicate all these merits in the best way that I may follow their perfect example. I dedicate all these rules of virtue with their dedication praised as the best by the victorious ones, thus go on of the 3 times, so that I might know the Bodhisattva's deeds. May the Supreme Bodhicitta not arise and grow, and may that which is arisen not diminish but increase forevermore. Chanju Senjo Remboje Magye Banan Ge Gyoroje Ge Banyamba Mebaya Kone Kono Pemarasho. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of Guru Buddha and lead all beings without exception into the enlightened state. Page 279, page 279, stanza 4. Page 279, stanza 4. I dedicate the merit thus gathered towards the realization of the deeds and prayers of all the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas of the 3 times, and to the upholding of the Dharma of teaching and realization. May in all lives, through the force of this merit, never separate from the 4 wheels of the Mahayana vehicle, and accomplish all the stages of the path, renunciation, bodhicitta, perfect in the 2 stages. With a wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I chant with mind of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge to the triple gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddha in my heart. The power of union of emptiness and compassion is lucidly explained by the protective Buddha Dharma and the beings of the snow land. You are the lotus holder Tenzin Gyatso. We supplicate you that your wishes are fulfilled spontaneously. May the operations of evil thoughts and deeds of the negative forces of humans or non-humans who harbor merits through perverted prayers against the teachings of the Buddhas, be totally vanquished through the path of the truth of the three jewels. In all my lives, never separated from perfect gurus, may enjoy the magnificent Dharma by completing the qualities of the stations and the paths, may truly attain the state of Vajradhara. Throughout my future lifetimes, may always be guided by the Manjushri and be able to uphold the Dharma in general and the teachings on dependent origination in particular, even at the cost of my life. Okay, Dipeshta, when is the next class? Sunday 3 p.m. Okay. Any more announcements you want to make? Okay. Okay, see you on Sunday afternoon.